Hey everyone, hi. Welcome to day one of the Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge. Are you all excited to be here? If you are, just type in the word excited. I already saw some of the comments coming in and like, oh, I can't wait for this to start. And I see a bunch of you on Zoom saying excited, excited. And then on Facebook, I know that there's a slight delay from when I say something and it reaches Facebook. So and do me a favor, Mindy says excited on Facebook. All right, and so does Enchanted Healing. Oh, the comments are coming in real quick. Jervy, Stacy, Randy, Keisha. Okay, awesome. Now, and pardon me, you guys, because this is my first time really doing this via Facebook and Zoom. So you're going to see me juggling windows time to time and all that good stuff. But I wanted to make sure I could reach as many people as possible. That's why I'm doing it this way. All right. And do me a favor. Let me know in the comments as well. Are we meeting for the first time? Or maybe you're already a reader of my book, or maybe you've already gone through a training of mine. So just let me know how we've met or if this is our first time. And then as I go through today's lecture, it gives me an idea of how to cater, who I'm talking to, right? So if this is our first time, I know some of you have been through the pre-training. All right, first time. Facebook, I got some first times as well. Okay, wow, a lot of first timers. Okay, Vicky says I missed the pre-training. Dustin says second. Okay, Randy says I read the book. Okay, great. So that just gives me an idea of how to cater. So for those of you who have met me before, just bear with me because some of the stuff you might hear again as I do my intro. But for those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I want to no matter where or how we met, I just want to welcome everyone to this Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge. Now, before we get into today's training, the actual lecture, right? Because I'm actually going to teach you some stuff. It's not just me like talking away, right? You're actually going to learn some stuff. I do want to take a moment to address something and just, in the process, also introduce myself to you, especially for those of you that are meeting me for the first time. Now, I do notice that there is a problem in the psychic awakening community, and that is that there are so many gifted psychics out there, right, who are second guessing their abilities, giving into doubt, right, or even worse, believing that they're crazy, right, for wanting to pursue this path of awakening your gifts. Now, let me know if you could relate to that, right? You're like, why am I doing this? What's happening to me? Am I crazy? And just type in some comment around your experience, right? Or maybe you're second guessing, or you're wondering if any of this is even real, right? And so Amber says 100% resonates. Okay. Yes to the doubt, says Vicky. Second guessing. Cindy says yes. Yvette says I can relate, especially second guessing. Marcia relate to even know if it's all real, right? And then on Facebook, Stacy's saying yes, what, and how, LOL. Elaine says yes. All right, so I start with this because a lot of you, right, there's no one to really talk to about this stuff. And that's a problem, isn't it? And yet, you're having some very real experiences. And I'm talking about stuff where like you think of someone, right? And then 5 minutes later, they call or they text you, right? How many of you have that's happened? Just type in the word text, right? Or some of you have like high-pitched ringing in the ears, right? And all that high-pitched ringing is, it's like a spirit guide trying to contact you. And we'll talk about that more over the next 5 days about what that's all about, right? Or you get downloads, right? How many of you get downloads of information? Like, where did that come from? I had a former student, like she'd be standing in line at the grocery store and the person like standing right in front of her, she'd get a download about that person. And she's like, should I say anything to that person? I don't know. This is crazy. That person's going to think I'm crazy, right? For sharing that if I do. So how many of you get downloads, right? Go ahead and type in the word downloads. And I am, I'm trying to catch up with the comment as well as do the lecture. So if I don't acknowledge your comment, my apologies. I try to catch up as much as I can, or keep up as much as I can. Or, maybe you're an empath, right? Go ahead and type in the word empaths. And the thing with empaths is you feel energy. And empaths take it a whole step further. Not only do you feel energy, but you're getting information about, say, like you feel the energy or the emotion of like your friend or your husband or your wife or your child, right? So not only can you feel the anger, but you feel all the pain associated with the anger. You feel all the stuff that comes along with it, right? And empaths have this extra challenge that not only are you reading in that way, but you're also then absorbing a lot of that energy, right? So how many of you are like absorbing energy from other people, right? As well, many of you are already seeing, right? You're having visions. How many of you see orbs, right? That's like such a common thing. Like I saw orbs. I see a spirit guide out of the corner of my eye. Just, that movie, right? What's his movie? Sixth Sense. I see dead people, right? And you're seeing your spirit guides. Now, and many of you are like, yes, orbs. Let me just see. Ringing downloads. Someone's asking what's with the Zoom code. Yeah, I'm broadcasting via Zoom to Facebook. So that's what that's all about. Empaths, high-pitched ringing today, says Catherine. Yes, all the time downloads. I'm a seer, dream things, and I'm an empath since I was 10. Okay, great. So, as you guys look at the comments, right, just realize, man, you're definitely not the only one. Okay. Now, there's an even deeper problem though. And that is you're getting these experiences, you're wondering if it's real or not, you're second guessing, you're afraid of people think you're crazy, right, for having all this. And the thing, if you're like me, right, growing up, I had very similar experiences myself. And as I got older, I was like, I don't want to share this with anyone, right? And I tried to ignore it, right? But the more I tried to ignore it, like my thing, you guys, was like street lights would turn off for me all the time. And it didn't matter if I was here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was in the Navy for 11 years. I was stationed in North Carolina. I was stationed in Italy. Street lights would turn off for me there too. And the whole time I'm like, is that a spirit guide, or is that a guardian angel, or is that even my grandmother, right? Because I always really sensed it was like my grandmother, and she had died, decades prior to that. And I was like, okay, wait, never mind, that's crazy, right? But the more I tried to ignore it, then the more the streetlights would turn off for me. I'm like, what? Right? So how many of you can relate to that? It could be streetlights, it could be electronics in your house going crazy, or it could even be 333, 777, 1111, 1212, right? So go to type that in if you can relate to any of that, like 333, or what's your number? I know some people are like 444, 1234, right? Like those are some of the more common ones. Now, there's an even deeper issue in the community, and that is many of you, right? You're already open. And I forgot, I think it was Enchanted Healing who said, like, you've already been having these experiences since you're like 10 years old, right? And when you're that young, it's scary, right? Even when you're older, right? It's scary, but especially when you're young, it's scary. And I've had so many people who've come my way, who have become my students. Their part of their journey was they would try to pray it away. How many of you have been praying, right? And some have gone to the extent of going to church, trying to make sense of it with the pastor or something, only to encounter where, people in the community there are like, well, no, that's the devil's work, right? And, some of you have just prayed even harder. Like, I really want this to stop. Okay. So I know that's more of an extreme example. I know not everyone has that extreme of an experience, but for the most part, right, a lot of you who are here today are having these experiences already. Like, this isn't new to you. You might not have the answers yet, but you're already in that stage of like questioning, whoa, I'm getting these experiences. I'm getting 333s. I'm I think of someone 5 minutes later. How does that, they text me like, how does that work? All right. So let me catch up to some comments here. Randy says praying. Um, praise. Many of you are saying praying. Premonition since I was 15. 777. I see all the numbers. All right. Vicky says another rapid increase in repeating numbers. I wish I knew what the messages was being sent. Precognitive dreams. Okay. So what I'm saying and what I'm addressing for many of you, this is great, right? Because it's not new, right? Do y'all get that? It's not new. The problem is, though, the more you try to ignore it, and many of y'all have already addressed this, the more it seems to come your way, right? So, like, I remember for me, when I was getting all the 333s, 777s, and they just kept coming, I'm like, what? Right? The street lights, I'm like, okay, it was interesting at first, scary at first, but now it was just getting to the point of getting annoying, right? And for some of you, how many of you, like, even your dreams are getting crazier and crazier, right? You get even more visions, right? And then the next thing you know, right, the more you're trying to ignore it and not do anything about it, now so many of you are getting overwhelmed by all the energy that comes your way, right? By all the downloads, right? Go ahead and type in the word overwhelm, right? If you could relate to all of the energy that just comes your way and you're like, oh my gosh, this is just too much energy. What do I do? Okay, you're wondering what the heck is going on? And where do I turn to next? Right? And the more that you're left wondering, and the more you don't get your questions answered, then it's that feeling of like being stuck, right? Like, what the heck is going on here? So how many of you could relate to that? Right? You're just, unlike where I live, right? Within an hour, literally, I could drive to like 5 different psychic schools and here in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? But for many of you, you don't have that luxury, right? You don't have like a psychic that you could visit in your town, let alone, try to talk with this about your friends or family, right? So leading to even more of that feeling of feeling stuck, overwhelmed, right? And here's the deal. What ends up happening is that you do try to figure all this out on your own. Okay, so how many of you could relate to this? I know my awakening journey, for me, I was like watching a bunch of YouTube videos, books, blogs, right? I got a couple readings. Okay. And some of the stuff I would get, I'm like, that kind of makes sense for me. Right. But most of it, I was like, I don't know about all that. Right. And especially when you're getting these weird visions or downloads, like you can't go to a YouTube video to get the answer what that particular dream means. Right. Because everyone's dreams are unique. And then on top of that, right, like you'll see these crazy titles. And let me just tell you guys, right, if you go on YouTube, you search for answers, you get these weird titles like, the dangers of awakening your psychic third eye, right? And let me just say right off the bat, y'all can ignore all that, right? Because there's nothing dangerous about awakening the psychic third eye. Yes, there are some tools which you're going to learn over the next 5 days to help you with that, right? So you could learn things like psychic protection, but there's nothing dangerous per se. But when you don't know any better, right? You're sitting there alone, like, what do I do? Where do I turn to? Right? And then you're seeing titles like that, then you don't know what to believe. Okay. So Stacy said, yes, ignored all the stupid negative videos. Right. Vicky says, I use tarot and oracle cards to tap into my psychic side. Yeah. And that's another way people have come into this work, tarot. How many of you already like energy healers, Reiki? You already have that kind of background. You might be a hypnotist. How many life coaches do we have, right? I know that many people come in from different directions. So anyway, all told, right? And the reason why I'm bringing all this up, this whole thing of trying to make sense of it on your own, right? Feeling overwhelmed, right? Trying to understand what exactly what you're going through. The reason why I bring this up is because, if you are an awakening psychic, right, whose gifts are opening up, maybe you're already, some of you are ready to open, right? Or if you're someone who you want to learn how to control your gifts rather than like your gifts controlling you. Or if you're searching for answers on what to do next or even what to do about it, or maybe you might be someone you've tried to shut your gifts down, right? And then yet all the while you sense a higher calling for your gifts, right? So how many of you could relate to that? Like you sense some kind of higher calling with your gifts. So if this is you, right, you have a higher calling, maybe you're someone who naturally loves helping others, or maybe you're already in the Reiki, healer, energy worker field or coach, right? Or, maybe you're just that someone who knows the right things to say at the right time, right? You're like that best helpful best friend. Well, if this is you, okay, and you could relate to anything I've said so far about your own awakening journey, I just want to let you know that I could totally relate and I could totally understand why you think that way. Okay. And I could totally relate because, everything that I just described to you was my own awakening journey process. Okay. And, for some of you have already met me, you've already heard my story, but just real quick about my story. I was pretty psychic as a child, right? I had this in my book. I talk about, this crazy premonition of my grandmother dying all the way on the other side of the world in the Philippines. And like I knew this, I was like, before I was a teenager, I'm like, how could I have known that? And I told you about the lights shutting off, right? And as I got older and older, I'm like, I need to figure this out, right? I need answers. And one thing that many of you may or may not know about me, I actually have a master's degree in quality systems, right? So it's like an engineering degree. And I remember on my awakening journey, I remember saying stuff to myself like, if I'm so smart, why can't I figure the psychic stuff out? Right? Because I was having these psychic experiences, but I couldn't like replicate it. I couldn't make it happen on purpose. They just kept happening like on accident at the most random times. Right. So go and type in random. Go and type in random if these things happen randomly to you. Right. So I searched, right. I got the books and, I remember that I forgot the name of the book, but there was this one book, right. I got to the chapter on spirit guides. And I remember just being like too afraid. I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that chapter. I'm just going to put this book away. Right. So I was too afraid to just do this on my own. Okay. And I needed answers and I didn't know who to turn to. So I too felt stuck, alone. I felt like I was going crazy. And yet, right, I already had this history. Like I was teaching, I was in the life coach, I had my life coach certification. I wanted to help people. I wanted to, heal people. Right. So like I just had this need. I need to figure this out. And I didn't know why, but I just kept feeling pulled like there was a higher calling to it all. Right. So go ahead and type in higher calling if you could relate to that. Like, hey, there's crazy stuff going on, but there's a higher calling going on. All right. So, one thing I do want to share is that when I finally did find a credible training program to help me, right, that's when my life turned around completely. Okay. And so, when I started honing my own gifts, started making sense of things, starting, to turn on my gifts like a light switch, right? Where you could turn it on and off. I know for some of you, it's like all about turning it off. It's life altering, let alone being able to tap into realms, dimensions, realities, spirit guides, beyond our physical reality. Right. So type in the word light switch, right? If that's like something you'd be interested in, so that you can tap into realms of information that, once felt out of reach. Okay. All right. So Deborah says light switch. Keisha says higher calling. Randy, higher calling. Tabitha, higher calling. Elaine, absolutely higher calling. Enchanting, higher calling. Natalie, light switch. VJ, light switch. Rosemary. Okay. So too many to, to keep track of, right? But all of you are saying, yes, pretty much you're saying, yeah, I'd love this. Well, everything that I've gone through, right, with my awakening journey, if that's what you're interested in, then that's my goal for the next 5 days. Okay. Because that's what I'd love to provide for you starting today. With that said, I just want to officially say hi to you. I just kind of buying time too for people to find the broadcast. Hi, my name is Joe, right? And I'm author of this book. Maybe some of you may already have an e-copy of this. It was a bonus for signing up for the training. This book called Journey of the Awakened Psychic, the 10-step guide for unblocking your psychic third eye. And if you're overwhelmed, searching for answers, or perhaps searching for a proven pathway to learn how to control your gifts better, then you are exactly who I wrote my book for, okay? And it's specifically written to help awakening psychics like you learn how to control your gifts better so that you can in turn help others, all right? And if you have that higher calling, like you're exactly who I wrote that book for, because in my journey, I had that higher calling too, right? And so providing the answers in the book is part of, why I wrote the book in the first place. Now, another important reason why I wrote the book is because of what I mentioned earlier. I've been working with helping awakening psychics since around 2013. So I've been doing this for a while, you guys. And something I've noticed with awakening psychics, right, is that they simply give up too easily. All right. Here's the thing, you guys. Everyone thinks that spiritual awakening is all about like the love and light and roses, right? But the thing is that couldn't be further from the truth, right? Spiritual awakening is hard, right? Let me know how many of you can relate to that, right? Spiritual awakening isn't easy. And on top of that, especially with a psychic awakening, that's super difficult. And by the way, I do consider psychic awakening a kind of spiritual awakening. So that's why I kind of lump them together. No matter the awakening, though, the issue is, and the reason why it's so hard is because you start seeing and understanding the truth about yourself, about life, about the world of spirit that were once hidden from your view. So there you were going about life, right? Believing, maybe some belief around like, oh, the spirit stuff is not real, right? Only to be hit in the face to see a spirit guide. And you're like, okay, that was more real than anything. It's more real than the news that you see on TV, right? So you're facing the reason why it's hard, the spiritual awakening is hard is because you're facing the truth beyond a lot of the misconceptions. And facing the truth, that's hard, isn't it? Okay. So facing the truth, right? Especially when you're searching for answers, like I said, there's so much random garbage out there on the internet, right? Just like those videos about, the dangers of awakening the psychic third eye. And then that leads people to feeling even more confused on their awakening journey. The awakening journey is hard enough already, right? But to feel even more confused, more fearful, right? And then feeling like you're crazy, right? And then being on your own, right? Being alone in all this. And then the harder you try, right? The more confusing it all gets. Okay. So you're the reason why I wrote this book. Okay. Now, I do want to address one thing, another prevalent thing is that, many of you have been on the journey of like, well, I'll get some information and then I'll try to figure it out on my own. And that was me. I could totally relate to that. The thing is, I got to a limit of where I could find answers in the book, right? I got to a limit of where I could find answers on YouTube or even like seeing a psychic. I remember this one psychic, she just looked me straight in the eye. She goes, "You're gifted. You just need to learn how to control it." I'm like, "How?" And she's like, "Well, I don't teach that stuff. You need to go find a teacher." Right? The truth is though, you guys, you'd already have this all figured out, right? If all you needed to do was like think about it some more or try harder to control it or just read one more book. Like you could read my book, right? Or just one more video and then I'll get the answer. Or you'd be like the super psychic by now, right? Here's the thing though, if everyone was like that, right? Not only would you be a super psychic, but we'd be on a planet of all these super psychics on the planet, right? So, I just want to let you know that, yes, you can try this on your own, right? But this is why I put this together, to build that community, you guys, right? So that you're not alone. You don't have to figure it out alone. And when you don't have to do it alone, guess what? That's when you can accelerate your learning. Okay. Some of you like, I've been doing this since I was 10 years old and I still haven't got the answer. I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay. Well, what if you could break through? What if you could break through that, bust through that already, and now take that next step, right? So that you can control it, so you can get that information from realms, realities, dimensions that were once out of reach. All right, so go ahead and type in the word next step if you're ready, okay? Because I don't want to be teaching people that aren't ready, right? So go ahead and type in the word ready, or sorry, next step, right? Letting me know that you're ready. Okay, so I'm seeing next step and beyond, next step, ready, next step. Awesome. And on Facebook, next step, next step, next step. Okay, great. Now, like I said, we're going to get into the actual what I'm going to teach you today, right? But like I said, this stuff is important, you guys, because I want to dispel a lot of the myths around this, also get, the motivation around this, and, get into the why, right? Because it's one thing to know how to do something or what to do, but you've heard that if you don't know why you're doing all this, like your higher calling and all that, then you're not going to be motivated to complete it, right? Complete the 5 days of the training. Okay. So the solution to all this, right? Rather than being on this never ending search and trying to find credible teachers or even that proven pathway, right? The solution to all this is beyond even what my book can offer. Because yeah, my book is great. Okay. But it is missing this one thing that my book can't offer. So for the Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge, which is what y'all signed up for, right? You actually get to talk to me, right? Well, not talk, you get chat with me, okay? So if you did have a question, then you get all your questions answered by the end of the 5 days. So what I encourage you to do is that while you have me live, ask away, okay? Ask all your questions, right? And then, let me see. Sometimes I go off on a tangent. I just want to make sure that I got everything on my bullet points before I move on to the next thing here. Oh, and also about the 5-day challenge, right? We're going to be dispelling even more myths about what it takes to awaken the psychic third eye. And I'll be giving you some practical, actionable tips, right? That you could use even starting today about how to control your gifts, all without the overwhelm. Okay, so how many of you would be interested in that, right? Having these tips to control your gifts without all the overwhelm. Now, so let me see. I want to pause for a moment. All this making sense so far, you guys, right? All this stuff making sense. Let me just pause here for a moment, because sometimes I go off on a tangent and I'm like, I'm just channeling you guys, right? Like all this some of the information that comes through, it's like I'm just channeling it to you. So, all right. So I see interested. Yes, 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 indeed. Okay, great. Now, let's get into the details of the challenge itself, right? But first, I want to introduce you to the bigger picture of it all. 1 second. I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. Okay. All right. Can you all still see my screen okay? Just comment real quick, like you could see my screen share. Yes. Okay, that says yes. All right, awesome. Now, I just want to share just real quick the big picture of it all right? And that is that this 5-day challenge is actually a smaller piece of a bigger picture of it all, which I call the complete psychic framework. And by the way, yes, right, as I go over the details of this complete psychic framework, this is part of something bigger for my bigger programs. And yes, full disclosure, by the end of the 5 days, I will be making an offer for you to enroll in my more advanced training. But before we get into that, let's talk about what exactly is this complete psychic framework in which the 5-day challenge fits in. So first, I believe that when it comes to being a complete psychic, activating your third eye is only a small piece of it. Okay. And so I have what I call the complete psychic framework here. Actually, let me move some windows out of the way real quick. Okay. So the first part of the framework is what I call reading mastery, right? And this is where the Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge comes in. And in the reading mastery program that I have what's known as the third eye mastery method. And you're going to get a taste of that over the next 5 days. And when you learn reading mastery, I'm talking about reading energy, right? Reading auras, chakras, spirit guides, reading past lives, right? Reading your Akashic records, stuff like that. All that is what reading mastery is all about. And that's where the third eye activation comes in and what I call crown chakra ascension. And so part of being a really great psychic is not only activating your crown chakra, but learning how to, control what comes in and out and tuning your crown chakra so that you can get information. Okay. All right. So how does that sound so far, right? With reading mastery, just type in the word cool or interesting or, just to let me know that you're following along. All right. So that's reading mastery. Now, part two of what I consider to be a complete psychic is when you can also have healing mastery. All right. And Vicky says interested. Yvette says cool. Interesting, says Robert. Okay, awesome. All right. So healing mastery. Now what's healing mastery all about? Well, it involves what I call karma-free healing. All right. And so I learned karma-free healing from another teacher of mine. And all karma-free healing is that when you heal someone, you're not karmically tied to if that person gets better or not. And so as a healer, that's so important because if you're healing not just one person, right, but 2 people, 3 people, 50 people, all right, that you've worked with, but you're sitting there wondering, did they get better or not? Or did that person get better? Or like you use some of your own life force energy to heal them. And that's not healthy, you guys. Okay. So how I teach healing is what I call karma free, right? And how does that work? Well, you get a deeper sense of your own self healing. And I believe that when you heal yourself first in a deep manner, then you could heal others more effectively. All right. So does that make sense? Right? When you heal yourself first, then you could heal others more effectively. And I see this out in the community so much where people, I call them like broken healers, right? They're busy healing everyone else, but they haven't healed themselves yet. Okay. And I'm not passing judgment or anything, right? But this is where another teacher of mine called it sick psychic syndrome. There's a lot of sick healers out there. There's a lot of sick psychics, right? Because they haven't done the work on themselves yet. Anyway, I don't want to get too much in detail with that. So that's healing mastery. Part 3 of being a complete psychic is what I call spirit communications mastery. All right. And this is where you learn advanced psychic boundaries, especially when you start getting into the realm of spirit. Right. And you learn what I call the language of spirit. Right. There's a special way to communicate with spirit guides that many of you are already doing, but in the way that I teach it, maybe you haven't realized it in this way. And I believe that anyone can actually learn this. I call it a language, right, of spirit. And then one of my favorite things to do with spirit communication mastery is channeling healing energies. So imagine channeling healing energies from your favorite archangel or ascended master, right? So that's possible. By the way, let me know if this is making sense so far, right? How many of you would love the deeper healing or spirit communications mastery, right? And I see some of you on Zoom doing the raise hands thing. That's awesome. All right. Now, last but not least of the complete psychic framework, right? Healing, there's reading mastery, healing mastery, spirit guide communications mastery. There's what I call, oops, this is the wrong slide. Hold on, you guys. Let me make the correction. I should have double checked this. Number 4 is actually manifesting mastery, right? So I'm going to just type in here, manifesting the psychic's way. All right. So my apologies, you guys, but hey, it's the beauty of doing this live. Sometimes you catch things on the fly. All right. So part 4, what I call being a complete psychic, is what I call manifesting mastery. And there's what I call manifesting the psychic's way. And the thing with being a psychic is there's that fine line, and maybe some of you could already relate to this. There's that fine line of when you have these premonitions of like things are happening or going to happen, or things, you know, like, for example, you think of someone and then 5 minutes later they text you. But there's also that fine line of like, did I make that happen? Did I cause that to happen? Did I intend for that to happen somehow? Right. So when you could learn the magic of how that, I call it a mechanism, right? There's a manifesting mechanism to it all. When you could get your hands on that, right? All in all, you guys, that's what it takes to be a complete psychic. Okay. So let me know your thoughts. Are you following along, right? How many of you be interested in manifesting mastery? And let's see, on Facebook, my window is blocked for the moment, but let me just read the comments on Zoom and I'll catch up on Facebook in a moment. Yes, interested. Law of attraction, says Vicky. Yeah, very similar to law of attraction. Stacy says interested in everything. Marcia interested. Okay, awesome. Many of you are interested and you're following along. Great. So not to get too far ahead, you guys, right? How does all this start? Well, it starts with, I don't know, there should be an arrow. There you go. Starts with the Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge. Okay. The Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge is the foundation. You're going to learn grounding today, for example, to where then once you get past this stage, then you could take or go through the rest of the mastery series. Okay. So like I said, and let me go ahead and stop share real quick. And let me just check in on Facebook. Okay. Thomas says interested in everything. Keisha, I'm interested. Catherine, yes. Randy, yeah. Peggy, interested. Stephanie, absolutely. Okay, yes. All right, so like I said, all that I showed you there is part of a bigger picture. And yes, full disclosure, when you complete all 5 days of the challenge, that's when I'll introduce to you the next level of the training, okay? Okay, let me just show the graphic one more time. There's one thing I missed. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Okay. The thing that I'll be introducing to you guys at the end of the 5 days is going to be this particular module. It's a reading mastery, okay? And it is an 8-week program. And the goal by the end of the 8 weeks is that you learn to activate your third eye more, you learn more advanced psychic protection, you learn more grounding, right? To the point to where you could start to read stuff like how to read a past life, right? How to read chakras, the future, how to read your aura, right? So go ahead and type in past lives, right? Or auras, or type in any of that if that sounds interesting to you as well. Okay, so that's the one thing I wanted to point out. Let me just go ahead and stop share once again. did my window go, my chat window? Okay, there we go. All right, so Vicky says reading auras, past lives. Amber says, I'm all for the whole 8 weeks. Awesome. Okay, some of you are already like, yes, 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 let's do this. Interested in all, interested in all. Okay, so what I want to encourage you guys, right? By the end of the 5 days, right? Definitely stick around, do all 5 days. And then on day 5, I will be making you a special offer. If you're wondering if there's a discount, like, yes, there is an investment and I will give you a discount along with some extra bonus goodies there. Okay. All right, let me get back to my bullet points here. Okay, so let's get back to the challenge real quick. Now, over the next 5 days, I will be giving you some really practical tools that you can use starting even today. And really, you guys, my goal is that you'll love what you learn, okay? You get to know me, you get to know my teaching style, right? You get my energy. Like even today, this is me, you guys. I'm just channeling, okay? I like to keep it real and, I like to just share what I've learned, okay? Because that's where the real magic happens as a teacher, that when I share, then I get even more back from myself when I share, okay? That's just how it works, right? So if you do enjoy the training, the experience over the next 5 days, get a tons of ahas, right? Then I would love for you to continue the journey with me into that third eye mastery program, which I'll share with you on day 5. And that group starts next month in March, okay? So I'll give you more the details, the exact details of when, the time, all of that. But let's get through the 5-day challenge first, right? I know sometimes as psychics, we like to jump ahead. We could already tell what's happening, but let's stay grounded in today. Now, for those of you, right, maybe 8 weeks, you're not ready for it yet, right? Or maybe you're going to be satisfied with the 5 days and you choose not to continue. Well, no biggie, right? At the end of the 5 days, we can part as friends, all right? So does all this sound fair so far, right? I'll give you the free training. Yes, I will be making you an offer, but from now until then, my goal is just to give you as much value as I can here, okay? So Kristen says, yes. Yvette says, awesome, totally fair. Hey, Nessa, great to see you. It's been a while. Enchanting says, love your energy. All right. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay. All right. Now, let me show you one more thing. And I promise you guys, we'll get to the content of today. There's one more, it's really important that I want to share with you, and that's the schedule of what we're covering. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. What are we covering each day? So let me just cover this real quick. So this challenge is 5 days. On day 1, we're going to cover the intro and how to instantly release blocks to your gifts, right? And really, I'm going to teach you this really cool grounding exercise that it only takes 5-10 minutes. Literally, you could do this particular or use this particular tool in your car on your lunch break. Like literally, that's how easy it is, okay? Tomorrow, you're going to learn how to identify the 3 hidden energy blocks that are blocking your psychic third eye now. On day 3, I'm going to learn how to prevent being invaded, right, by foreign energies. How many of you have issues with psychic vampires, right? So if that's you, that's what day 3 is all about. Day 4 is all about overcoming the greatest myth to activating your psychic third eye. And I kind of give a hint to it, all these people saying there's dangers and all that, there's no dangers, right? So, just all told, right? Day 1, 2, 3 is all a buildup up to day 4. And then that's when we really cover getting into the third eye. 1 second, you guys. One thing about the live broadcast, you guys, I just may as well introduce you guys. This is my dog, Layla. She likes to come in and sometimes she'll go out. I try to keep the door closed, but if she wants to get out, like I have to let her out. Otherwise she'll just cry and it'll be on the recording and I don't want that. All right, so everyone say hi to Layla. Layla, say hi. Okay. All right, so that's day 1 through 4. Now day 5, and this is where we talk about getting beyond. What does beyond awakening to healing your gifts look like without the second guessing? Okay. And I love using the word beyond awakening because it's one thing to say, I'm awake, I'm awake. But once you're awake, then what? What's next? What do you do with your awakening? Okay. So this is where we'll talk about that 8-week training, the Third Eye Mastery Program. That's where we'll get into the details on that day. All right. Oh, that's cute. Missed the, wait, Rebecca says, my dog was named Layla too. I'm in the right place. Synchronicities, you guys, that's what the, you know, when you, let me just say this, when you're experiencing a lot of synchronicities, that's when the universe is like really trying to get your attention and trying to tell you like, hey, you're on the right path. Keep going, right? It's the universe's way of trying to validate things for you. All right, so let me stop share again. Get back to the, just checking on the Facebook group. Okay, awesome. Okay, so you're making comments about my Layla. All right, where are my bullet points? All right, so any questions on the schedule, by the way? Those are the 5 days, right? Oh, wait, I forgot to, there was more on that slide. Okay, so let me just share my screen again. Thanks for bearing with me, you guys. Like I said, I'm broadcasting on 2 different windows, and it's like, oh, which window? Let alone bring up the PowerPoint window. So bear with me, you guys. Where is that? Oh, here we go. Oops. Here we go. Here we go. All right. On this slide, each day is about half an hour, is about an hour followed by Q&A. Okay. So we're going to go for an hour today. And then what I do once that's done, you know, if you're like, I'm done with the hour, I got to go, right? You're free to go. But after that, I'm going to still hang out in case you have any questions, right? So that's what I mean. Follow an hour followed by a Q&A. Now, I want to give you some incentive, you guys, because it's one thing where people like, oh yeah, this is great. It's a great idea to start something, right? But how many of you, you've been in the position, you start off strong, but you're, you know, like it fizzles out a little bit or the momentum goes away, right? So it's one thing for this to be a good idea, right? But I want you all to get beyond this just being a good idea, okay? I want you all to get some substance out of this. And the way to get the substance is, guess what? You got to show up, right? You got to show up for all 5 days. And if you can't make it live, then there's a recording, catch up on the recording. And I'll post the recordings to YouTube after each broadcast, right? I'll upload it real quick and then I'll send out blast emails like, hey, if you missed it, catch the replay. But you got to show up, okay? So here's my incentive to get you guys to show up, right? To encourage you. I do have a special bonus for all of you that show up for all 5 days. And that is, if when you complete all 5 days, you qualify for a 1 in 5 chance at a 30-minute psychic healing session with me. And that's a $150 value, okay? And that's not some made up number, you guys. Like if you go to my my Yelp page or my website, right? That's my list price there. That's what I charge the public for a 30-minute reading. And as well, show up for all 5 days, you also get entered for a chance for the grand prize. So you get up to five people will get a 30-minute reading, and then the sixth person will get a 90-minute deep chakra healing. So it's a 90-minute session that you get with me, and that's a $250 value. Okay. So how many of you would love a reading, right? Or, some people, like, they've never had a psychic reading. It's always exciting when people are like, oh, I've never had a reading before. But a lot of you are saying yes, yes, OMG, yes. Okay, so awesome. I'm glad for all the excitement here. Okay, let me see. So here's the deal, you guys. You must be present, especially on day 5 when I do the drawing. And I'm gonna do like this video of this wheel spinning and all of that. Okay. So we'll figure that out that day. Last time I did this, the wheel thing didn't work. And if it doesn't, then I'll record it and then I'll post it afterwards. Okay. Now, the question is, Joe, how do you know that we're going to be here all 5 days? Well, each day, comment on the live or replay broadcasts. Okay. And you're going to comment with hashtag day 1 done. Then tomorrow, you're going to comment hashtag day 2 done, right? So everyone that's on live now, go ahead and type that in, hashtag day 1 done, whether you're on Zoom. And with Zoom, I keep all the chat transcripts, right? And then on Facebook, we'll just have a record of everyone that's typed in their comments. It's all automatically recorded. Okay, so a bunch of you, day 1 done, day 1 done, okay? Awesome. Love it. And by the way, you guys, great participation. I'm loving all the comments. It lets me know that the stuff that's making sense to you, that's interesting, you're excited, okay? And complete all 5 hashtags and you'll be entered automatically for a chance to win, okay? And some of you have met my assistant. His name is Kyle. He's in the background and he's helping me. So he's the one that's gonna keep track of everyone that's entered, all right? Okay, so that's all for the PowerPoint there. Let me stop share. And let me pull up the Facebook window. Okay, so on Facebook, everyone's hashtagging. Okay, awesome, awesome. And let me pull up my bullet points again. All right, so last thing, and this is going longer than I thought, you guys, so bear with me. I still want to teach you the grounding, okay? And my apologies, I should have managed the time better here. But starting day 2, 3, 4, 5, like definitely I'll manage the time better here. So everyone is excited, okay, which I'm glad. Okay, so what that tells me is that you're actually interested in bettering yourself, improving yourself. You're interested in not being stuck any longer in what I call the spiritual closet, right? To where you can get beyond all of that and then start using your gifts for something greater, right? What if you could use your gifts to help others? Okay, what if you could use your gifts to get answers about your next steps or your future, right? What if you could actually use your gifts to heal your communities, your families? All right, that's what this work is all about. Okay, that's what it's all about, you guys. Now, okay, and last thing that's on my bullet points here, and then we'll get to the actual training finally, is that mark your calendars. Okay, so today was the day that we just went live at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. For the rest of the 4 days, the idea is like, I know a lot of people work during the day. So we're gonna go live 6 p.m. Pacific, and it'll be 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Okay, and then every time zone in between, right? So it'll be 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, okay? Now, and love it, Elaine. Elaine says, yes, that's the goal, to raise the vibration of this planet. And I love that you brought that up, because let me just share just real quick, you guys. When I wrote my book, like I felt somehow drawn, like I want this book in the hands of 1,000,000 people, right? And I was like, where did that thought come from? Who am I to read, right? And I know not everyone is on that, but like for those of you, like you feel like a greater calling to help so many people out there, you know, my encouragement to you is don't wait. Right? There's so many people out there who need the help, who need the guidance, who need the insights, who would otherwise be stuck without your help. Right? And I remember this one coach gave us this visual, right? He goes, imagine someone knocking at your door and they're bleeding, right? And you may or may not know them. And you answer the door, they're saying, help, help, I'm bleeding, I need your help. What are you going to say to them? You wouldn't say, no, I'm not ready. I don't know about what it takes to heal. Go somewhere else. Like, of course not, right? You'd be like, oh, come on in. Let me help you the best way that I can, right? Regardless if you're quote unquote ready or not, you're just going to go and help. Okay. So for those of you that have this greater calling, do it now. Don't wait. Because the universe needs you now. The planet, the people around you, your communities, they need you now. Okay. So with that said, like I know my responsibility of leading this group, like it's bigger than just me. And I get that. Okay. Because I've been there myself. Anyway, Stacy said there's definitely a major shift happening in the universe and it's a positive one. I so much agree. Okay. Catherine said there's so much negative in this world. They need more of us to balance it out. So true, right? And that's the whole nature of being a light worker. Now, let me just pause real quick. Any questions on what we're covering each day, the schedule itself? Like, let me get in just the logistics. So let's just cover that real quick before we move on. Elaine says, I'm doing this now, just need guidance on how to do it even better. Okay. What time again for East Coast? It'll be 9 p.m. East Coast for starting tomorrow. Okay. All right. Let me just make sure I covered all the questions here real quick before we move on. Okay, many of you talking about the shift on the planet. That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, awesome. Now, again, my apologies, we're going longer than I thought. I'd love to teach you a new tool. Okay, maybe for some of this is not new, but for many that I've taught this to, like this is like life altering, but in a fun and relaxed way. Now, when it comes to doing any kind of energy work, which by the way, are you ready? You guys ready for learn this new tool here? We're gonna shift gears here a little bit. So Vicky says, yes, okay, ready to shift gears, says Lopez. Okay, great. What I'm gonna teach you now is just a real simple tool to help you ground, okay? Now, the question is, why ground in the first place? Well, one of the very first things that I teach, especially in the 8-week Third Eye Mastery program that's coming up, one of the first things that I teach is that you must honor your body first, right? So just get this, you guys. You could be as psychic as you want, right? Especially as a soul, as a spirit, but without your body as your instrument, right? Think of your body as your instrument, like a musical instrument. If you're not taking care of your body, then it doesn't matter how psychic you are. Okay. So by grounding, right, it helps to relax the body, helps to tune the body, and it also helps set the stage for doing any kind of energy work. Now, another reason why grounding is important, everyone just kind of think of the last scary movie that you watched. Right, there you are, you're like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. Maybe you're walking into a movie theater, you sit down, there's all this anticipation, and you're sitting there telling yourself, okay, I know the scary part's going to come up. I know I'm going to get scared. I know I'm going to jump out of my seat. I might scream, right? And then the movie starts, and then the scary music, and then the suspense and all that. And then out of nowhere, right, that scary part of the movie happens, and your body just jumps, right? And then you might scream, and then you hear the rest of the movie theater, they're like screaming too. Right? So no matter how much you tell yourself like, it's going to be scary, guess what? Your body kind of has a mind of its own, right? That's why it's like this automatic response of like jumping. Well, guess what? When you're in a jumpy place, when you're like, right, like your heart's racing, that's actually the opposite of being psychic. So just think about this, you guys. When you're getting the 333s, or when you get the dreams, or when you think of someone and then next moment they text you, right? You're not all jumpy. Your heart's not racing. You're just maybe walking down the street and you're like, okay, whatever, right? And then you get this like download out of nowhere and like, oh, where did that come from? Said another way, you were probably in a more relaxed state, right? You're probably more in a zoned out state. Okay, you're not like hyper attentive like you were in that scary movie. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense before I move on, because that's super important, right? You definitely want to relax, have the body be relaxed. And this is what I mean by honoring the body first, okay? And let me tell you guys, nothing knocks you out of your psychic space more than when you're all jumpy, jittery, you have all this other energy in your space, right? Okay, so a lot of you like, makes sense. Vicky, 100% learned that a few years ago on Facebook. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. All right, and Stacy says, I'm pretty sure my base chakra is wide open and the constant energy from it is driving me nuts sometimes. Yes, Stacy. All right, and that's actually what I'm going to teach you, right? Because when I teach this grounding technique, you know, it does involve especially grounding that first chakra. Now, if you're not familiar with chakras, all chakras are they're energy centers of the body, right? And the base chakra is at the base of your spine. And that involves stuff like survival, connection to the planet, your grounding, okay? So we're not going to get into chakras in particular today, but since it was brought up, I just wanted to address that. Enchanting Healing says, maybe that is why downloads come when I am laying down and relax. Exactly. That's why when you're dreaming, right? Like that space from when you first lay down to when you're about to dream, right? That space is when like you get all these visions, right? Your body's all nice and relaxed. Okay. So this is why grounding is important. Now, now you know why to ground. Now, how exactly do you ground? Well, or how does grounding work? Well, grounding helps you to feel more relaxed, and it also helps you to feel more connected. Helps the body to feel more connected. Okay. There's so many floaty psychics out there. All right. There's so many psychics out there that are so out of their body. Right. And that's not like a judgment thing. It's more like a psychic spiritual anatomy thing, that if you're out of your body and the information's out there and not here inside your body, then what's the use of being out of your body if you can't bring that information back in? Right? So when you're grounded, that's when the information comes in. Okay? Not being out there, you're actually being in here in the body. So if you've had those moments where you're like, man, I kind of get the information, but I can't make sense of it, or I think I'm getting some kind of download or some information, but it's not clear to me. How many of you have experienced that? Right? Feels like that information's out there. You can't make sense of it. The reason why is because you're not grounded. Okay. All right. So people are saying, yes, that makes sense, makes total sense. Awesome. So that's one purpose, or one reason, or one way how grounding helps you. The other way how grounding helps you is it also helps you to release, right? So earlier I mentioned how many of you are empaths, or you have some empathic stuff going on where you're absorbing other people's energies, right? Well, what if you could release that? Okay. What if you could let go of that? Let me tell you guys, and one of the number one reasons why you're blocked, and this is the Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge, right? One of the reasons why you're blocked is because of all that foreign energy. And tomorrow, in tomorrow's challenge, we're going to talk about the specific foreign energies, but just know today, for today, that when you can ground and release those foreign energies out of your space, don't you think that you have a better chance of accessing your gifts if you're not blocked? Right, so go ahead and type in the word unblocked, right? If that makes sense, okay? And that's what grounding will help you do. It'll help you to release. All right. So Robert says unblock, Yvette unblocked, unblocked. Elaine says yes, too much foreign energies. Amber says, have you heard of people taking on others' energies and then being healed afterwards? Kind of. There are many healers out there that will absorb other people's energies. But yeah, that's just a whole other modality. Facebook Live, you're saying unblocked, unblocked, unblocked. Okay. So Samantha asks a great question, but how to ground? Okay, so that's actually what I'm covering next. What do you do? So what is the actual technique? Well, I'm going to teach you here in a moment what I call a grounding cord. And I'm going to lead you through a visualization. And think of it as like a tube of energy, right? That connects your body to the center of the planet. Okay. And imagine it like, it's kind of, the idea of it is that like roots of a tree, right? When the roots of a tree rooted to the ground, it doesn't matter if like a hurricane, or maybe not a hurricane, but like a strong wind comes by, right? The tree is not going to blow away, right? Because it's nice and rooted. All right. And the idea is you're going to ground that first chakra down to the center of the planet. All right. So that's what I'm going to lead you through here in a moment. Before we get to that, we're going to take about the next 10 minutes. We're going to lead you through a real quick guided meditation. So I encourage you to tell everyone in your home or wherever you're at, like, hey, leave me alone. Leave me alone for the next 5 minutes, close your door, just where you can have some nice quiet time, okay? For at least the next 10 minutes here. So that you don't get, so that you can be uninterrupted. No interruptions, please. Now, I encourage you to sit upright in your chair. I know for some of you, like laying down is more comfortable, that's fine. But if you can't manage, just go ahead and sit upright in your chair. And I encourage you to, hold on, let me get a sip of water here. And I encourage you to sit upright. Go ahead and uncross everything, uncross your knees, ankles, your wrists, your hands, right? You could put your hands flat on your lap, face up or face down, whatever's comfortable. Right, and I have you sit upright because the thing with especially like when you start meditating in any kind of way, I'm going to teach you a specific way to meditate here. It's easy to fall asleep, right? Or it's easy to go unconscious. Right, so by sitting up, it helps you, or it gives you a better chance of not going unconscious. That's one of the reasons, okay? All right, now, before you do any kind of energy work, I encourage you to relax the body, okay? So before we get into the actual grounding technique, let's take a moment to just breathe, right? One of my teachers, one of his favorite sayings was, one of the fastest way to get spiritual is to breathe. Okay, so I encourage everyone to close your eyes. And Stephanie, if you need to keep your eyes open, that's fine too. So I encourage everyone to at least close your eyes. And go ahead and take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. And when you inhale and then exhale, nice and slowly, just go ahead and get that sense of the air coming in. And then when you exhale, just allow it to release. And go ahead and repeat that a few more times. Just inhale nice and slow and methodically, and yet easily. And then when you exhale, imagine just releasing any tension from your body, any foreign energies, any effort, energy, just release and let all that go. And maybe take two or three more cleansing breaths, just like this, where you can imagine breathing in your life force energy. And then you could breathe out any energy that's not yours, any tension. Just release and let all that go. And then when you get the sense your body's starting to relax, even just a little bit more deeply than even a minute ago, this sense of relaxation is the signal that you need to let you know that, okay, ready for some energy work now. I'm going to take one more deep breath, one last deep breath. And just validating that the body's more relaxed than just a moment ago, releasing some tension and just getting to a more relaxed state. Not too relaxed, just relaxed enough. Now, imagine that there's a green ball of energy right at the base of your spine. A nice bright green ball, perhaps the color of the leaves or nice green grass. And have this green ball of energy start to expand and have it be as wide as your hips. While at the same time, cleansing that first chakra, your base chakra, cleansing it with healing energy, helping to relax the body, helping to cleanse and help you release even more. And imagine now that gravity can take hold of the green ball of energy, and you start to notice the green ball of energy drop. It just goes down, 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 forming a green tube of energy in the process, to where the green tube of energy extends all the way down to the center of the planet. And just for frame of reference, the center of the planet is about 5,000 miles down. And so it's a nice long green tube of energy, wide as your hips. And you can imagine that as it connects to the center of the planet, that it becomes like an anchor, either like an anchor of a ship, or it could be like roots of a tree, just helping the body feel connected, especially connected to Mother Earth. And we all have a healing agreement with this planet to heal, to help you release and let go. And you could take one more deep breath and just go ahead and get the sense of how the body feels now to be nice and connected. Now, take one more deep breath. And go ahead and imagine you could just scan your space real quick. Scan your space for any either tightness, tension. It might feel like a stuck energy or even staticky. like a jittery kind of energy. And just consider for a moment that these energies are what can interrupt, block your psychic experience, your psychic gifts, or your psychic third eye. And imagine that you could take a scan and imagine that these might show up as either, say, a dark brown, or maybe a faded version of any colors, like a faded purple or whatever color or however it shows up for you. It might be a stuck energy in your heart chakra, it might be a stuck energy in your hand, in your ankle, or somewhere in your head. If you've had headaches or throat aches, those are very common. And imagine that gravity now takes hold of those. And imagine that just like dropping a brick down into a well, that these foreign energies now just drop right down your grounding cord. Literally, they just fall away. Kind of like watching raindrops fall out of the sky. They just fall down, 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 down your grounding cord. And you can get the sense of the release as all of this is falling away. Perhaps you start to feel lighter, more clear. And you could also imagine it like a sink full of dirty water, that when you pull the plug, it all goes down the drain. And as the sink is emptying, so too is it like your body, your aura emptying, releasing, letting go. And then it all just goes down to the center of the planet. And once it gets there, it just goes, perhaps it dissipates, disappears. Just let Mother Earth recycle it for you, whoever it belongs to. And then once you get the sense of just releasing, letting go, just go and validate the clearing that you feel, see, or sense in your body, your aura, your psychic space, your bubble around you. Now, you never want to just leave anything empty. So go to now imagine that about 3 feet up above your head, there's a golden sun forming, just a golden ball of light like a gold sun. And imagine you could write your name in magnetic ink in the middle of the gold sun. So you could tune the gold sun to your energy that's unique to you and only you in the whole entire universe. And then imagine that this gold sun has its own gravitational pull to just call all your energy back. Call your energy back from your day, your week, from other people, places, projects. Kind of like gathering the pieces of you that you've left behind on your journey. And in the process, you might see the gold sun get larger and larger as more and more of your energy comes back. And in the process, you're bringing your energy to a nice high gold present time vibration. We use gold a lot because gold is a nice high spiritual vibration. And just get that sense of this energy up above your head, shining nice and brightly. And when that gold sun's all nice and full, imagine now that just like pouring water into a glass, this golden light now pours in through the top of your head, through your crown chakra, into your body, filling in every single cell from head to toe, fingertip to fingertip, all your chakras, energy channels, and even your aura, your energy field around you, to where you're like a golden light bulb of your own energy. And go ahead and breathe that in. It's your energy. It's your life force energy. And just enjoy what it's like to be surrounded by your own vibration. And when you're all nice and full, front and back, above and below, to the left of you, to the right of you, just surrounded by a golden light of your own energy, you can then open your eyes and come on out of the trance. All right, and you can stretch out a little bit. Take another deep breath. All right, so that's your first tool, grounding, okay? So I'd love to get some comments. How was that to ground yourself in this way, first of all? Okay, and while you're typing in your comments, let me just make one comment in general that, for many of you, this is your first time, right? So this might not be a familiar practice, but let me tell you guys, you're not expected to get this right or perfect like the first time, right? One of the reasons why this is a 5-day challenge is you get to practice, okay? So what I encourage each of you to do over the next 5 days, right? Practice this grounding technique at least once a day. It could be in your car during your lunch break, all right? Or it could be right before you go to bed, or it could be first thing in the morning when you wake up, okay? You got to practice. All right, so let me just read some comments here. I'll start with the Zoom side and then we'll get to the Facebook side here. So Jacqueline says, beautiful. Robert says, wow. Cindy, wow. I like this version, quick and to the point, says Vicky. Finance says, awesome, thank you, easier after my mom left. All right, great, says Nettie Lopez. I was getting ringing in the right ear. Yep, so stuff is activating. Amber says, wow. Marcia, wonderful, easy for using anywhere. That's great. Yes, literally you could do this anywhere, anytime. VJ says, good, it makes me so relaxed and I feel sleepy. Okay. I felt the release of some energy that has been tricky to get a target on. By hashtag buy yucky energy. Love it. I opened my eyes smiling. OMG, I'm tingling all over. Feel so much lighter. Super grateful. Thank you so much, Joe. You're so welcome. Sarah, amazing. Amber, I couldn't stop giggling a bit there. LOL, Jacqueline. And then Sarah, the golden ball was so relaxing. Awesome. Thanks for all your feedback. And then just real quick on Facebook, let me see. Okay. Mary Friend says, lovely imagery. Jervy, amazing feeling. Elaine, thank you. That was beautiful. Tavis says, awesome. Thirsty after. Nessa says, I feel very relaxed. Thank you. You're welcome. That was awesome. It was my first time, says Keisha. Samantha, thank you. Felt something heavy on my left side. I don't know, but feel better. Great. Thank you. It was lovely, says Stephanie. I've been having difficult time grounding. Very relaxing, says Katie. Feel lighter. Okay, let's see. Stephanie says, I have a kitten purring on my lap. Yeah, it's so funny. In the middle of the grounding meditation, my dog wanted to come back in. I'm telling you guys, when you do energy work, like the animals, like pets, are wanting to be near you. Okay, a few more comments here. Samantha, thank you. Heavy on my left side. Peggy, very relaxing. Weightlifting, both ears ringing, rest of body's tingling. Okay. And Melissa says freeing. All right. So how easy was that, you guys? Okay. So as a bonus, you guys, when you signed up for the challenge, you should have got an email with a grounding meditation. Okay. And what I'll do is I'm going to send out another blast email for those of you that signed up for the challenge. I'm going to send out another blast email so that you can get a copy of an MP3. Pardon me, you guys. MP3 of the grounding meditation. And then if you're on Facebook, if you go to the pre-training intro materials, there's a link for the grounding meditation there. All right. And if you are on the broadcast and you can't find that, or if you don't get the email, feel free to reach out to support, or you could just reply to one of the emails that you got already. Okay. All right. So that's grounding, you guys. All right. So we're at the 1.5 hour mark. For day one, yeah, I was planning on going for an hour. I want to just keep it to 90 minutes. So if you have to go, I don't want to keep you any longer, right? We're officially going to complete the broadcast for day one now. But just as a reminder, remember tomorrow we're going to meet at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to mark your calendar, show up for that. And remember, everyone, your daily hashtag so that you can be qualified for the drawing, right? Hashtag day one done, day two done, day three done, etc. All right. So I will still stick around for a Q&A. So I'll stick around for as long as you all still have questions. But for those of you that do need to go, thank you very much for being here today. It was awesome. I loved all the feedback and the back and forth and everything. Okay. And looks like my assistant posted the link for the MP3. Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. And for those of you that are sticking around, right, I'm happy to stick around just until we get all your questions answered. Okay. So for those of you that do have to go, thanks again. I'll see you later. All right. And for those of you that want to stick around, I invite you now to go ahead and type in whatever question. I'm not in a reading space. Okay. So it's not a reading, but anything about your psychic awakening process, maybe about the grounding that you just went through, or the world of energy, like literally you could ask me anything. Okay. All right. Some of you are saying, well, I'm waiting for your questions to come on. Many of you are saying, thank you, felt lighter. Okay. All right. Awesome, you guys. All right. Yep. See you guys tomorrow. Okay. So let's get to some questions here. You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone that are saying thank you. Okay, so let me just get to some questions here real quick. Vicky is asking, what are your thoughts on having to actually unblock your pineal gland, fluoride, etc.? That's an interesting question. This whole thing about fluoride, like I do believe that you need to eat clean, right? I do believe that toxins in the environment like affect your gifts for sure. Okay. But as far as like fluoride and the pineal gland, there are a couple of schools of thought about that. I forgot the name of the person, but she swears that when she switched to unfluoridated, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, unfluoridated water, she had that reverse osmosis thing. Her mediumship abilities after the change, like totally woke up, right? And then on the other hand, there are plenty of people that do have fluoridated water whose psychic gifts are fine, right? So I don't want y'all thinking that just because there is fluoride in your water, like you have no hope, right? But I do believe that the cleaner that you can eat, drink, all of that, for sure, like your psychic gifts just get even better. Okay. All right. So I'm going to flip back and forth between Zoom and Facebook. Let's see. Peggy is asking, is there a way to stop the ringing in my ears? Yes. On day 3, we're going to learn a little bit of psychic protection. I'll teach you a tool then as well. And the thing with psychic protection, psychic boundaries, when there's ringing in the ears, just picture it as spirit vibrates a whole lot more quickly than we do. All right. So when you get the high-pitched ringing in the ears and you don't have an earache, right? That's spirit's way of saying, hey, I want to try to communicate with you. Where psychic boundaries comes into play, though, is that you have to make sure that you only bring in spirit when you want to, right? They can't just come on in whenever they want to. All right. So that's where having psychic boundaries, psychic protection, that's what's going to help with the ringing in the ears. Just quick story. I actually used to live near a hospital, right? And, you know, at a hospital, literally people are dying every single day. And I'd go to bed every night, and like every freaking night, right, I get the ringing in the ears. And just got to the point where I had to like send this broadcast out to the world of spirit. I'm like, no. I know y'all want help. I know y'all want to deliver messages, but if you keep bothering me, I'm not going to deliver nothing, right? So ever since that day, like I set the rules, set the boundaries, I don't get those ringing in the ears anymore. Okay. So that's where the boundaries, it's super important. And you're going to learn, or you get introduced to that, right? On day 3 of the challenge. In the 8-week training coming up, you'll definitely get more practice on that. Okay. All right. So great question. Let me switch back to Zoom here. Amber is asking, I felt pulled and some vibrating. Is that normal? Yes, absolutely. That's normal. You know, there's different ways, not just your third eye, to get information. Some people feel energy, right? I forgot who, like some people get tapped on the shoulder by spirit, right? And I had a student, like that was her thing. She'd get tapped on the shoulder and she's like, oh, she didn't like it at first, but after a while she was just like, okay, that's just how my spirit guides like to communicate with me, right? So you're going to have your own thing, right? For me, I like to keep things clean. I don't like the whole tapping or ringing the ears, but you are going to sense, you know, whatever your strength is. If you're someone who feels energy, or maybe you might have a higher knowing kind of thing, right? You still want to use all your senses, right, that you're natural at. But eventually, right, just like I mentioned with the ringing in the ears, you want to have some psychic boundaries with that, because if it does bother you and you're like, man, you guys, I need to sleep, leave me alone, right? Then yeah, you want to definitely have boundaries with that, but it's not abnormal. It's not unusual, Amber, if that helps. Okay. All right, let me switch back to Facebook. Justin made a comment, I was laying down and my vision blacked out completely with eyes open and having a hard time figuring that out. Yeah, you know what, sometimes, and you know, this may or may not apply to you, Justin, but sometimes when we go unconscious, there may be an energy in your subconscious space that is not ready to come out yet, right? So that's why it's in your subconscious or unconscious mind for a reason. So when you're about to encounter that energy, that's where people can go unconscious a little bit. Like you're meditating and then you doze off, like your head kind of dozes off, right? That's what happens a lot of times, okay? So I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going on for you, Justin, but you know, in many cases, right, it's because you are starting to hit some energy that either you're not ready to look at yet, or maybe you need to do some healing work first before you encounter that energy, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Let's see. Miranda's asking, how can I rewatch day 1? I accidentally missed all of it. I'm going to be posting this to YouTube here right after the broadcast. Okay. So And you could always watch the replay on Facebook. Amber, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, Amber. Is there a difference between astro planning and looking through the third? Yeah, great question. For me, the astral plane is just like another realm. Reality is basically very close to the physical plane, right? And when you have dreams, basically you're going on the astral, right? That, at least that's how I was taught. And you know how when your dreams feel real, right? It feels like you're falling. Well, like if you're falling in your dream, that feels real, right? Um, so there's different ways to experience the astral. There's how you feel. There, you could look at the astral. You could, tap into your higher knowing for information up on the astral plane. Okay. So in a sense, when you're using your third eye, right, you can use your third eye to view the astral, right? The great thing about the third eye is it's not only just the astral, but you could also look at other spiritual planes of existence, other dimensional realities. You could, if you're into the whole 5D thing, right, or aliens or all of that, right? Third eye is just more of a tool for you to view energies, and the astral plane is just but one of those trying to find the words, one of those planes of realities that you could use your third eye for. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see. Billy says, I saw other people in the reading while we were in this live exercise. Yeah, you know what that happens when we're in a group situation, you start getting a sense of other people's energies, especially if you're already open and like your channels are open. It's very common, okay? The thing is, you still want to practice good psychic boundaries, and we're going to talk about that more on day 3, and we especially practice that during the 8-week challenge there, or 8-week training coming up, the Third Eye Mastery Program. Let's see. Amber is asking, is it true that right ear ringing is angelic and the left, well, all the other spirits? It could be, right? The thing is, like even with dreams, or like, oh, your first chakra is supposed to be red, or you go to a dream dictionary and it says this symbol means that, or even tarot card readings, right? Like this symbol is supposed to mean that. Take all that with a grain of salt, you guys. When you get a sign symbol, or is it your right ear or left ear, you tap in to your own intuition, your own inner wisdom, your own higher knowledge, right? And if it feels right for you that, oh yeah, left ear for me is angelic and right ear is for all the other spirits, if that's true for you, it's true for you. Okay. We're all unique. Everyone's different, right? So we all experience energies differently. So, I kind of tell my students, throw that dream dictionary out the window, throw everything about chakras out the window, right? Eventually you're going to tap in to your own intuition and start to access your own answers about all that. Okay. All right. Great question though. Let's see. Rebecca, after my brother passed on, I feel blocked from everything and I've learned why would his passing block me. Yeah, you know what? That happens very often. And the thing with anything traumatic, it could be an accident, a death in the family, car accidents, stuff like that. When you get into the energy of, like, say, the sadness or the fear or frustration, right? That's a kind of a lower energy state, right? Lower vibrational state. When you're trying to access your gifts, you want to be in a higher vibrational state, right? That's why we work with gold a lot. And so when you've had those incidents in your past where, like, you got knocked out of that higher vibrational place, that's where it could come across as feeling like a block to your energy. Okay. So when you can release and let go, just like in the grounding meditation, release and let go of all that, then that's how you get unblocked, right? And that's where you could start to wake up your gifts again. All right, it's a great question. Melissa says, I thought ringing the ear was angelic downloads. Yeah, it could be a sign of that. Let's see. Shanda, you can make an appointment with me later. You know how to reach me. Thank you for the feedback, Peggy. I'm assuming you're already offline. Oh wait, no, you're still online. Okay. Peggy saying, I was always told that if you were dreaming, you fell and you actually hit the ground or whatever you're falling on in, then you will die. Is this so? It frightened me so. I always wake before. Yeah. Again, Peggy, and this just like with the whole ringing the ears thing, take it all with a grain of salt. Okay. The thing with the astral plane is that you're actually working out different scenarios, right? What if I had this new job? How'd that work out? You work it out in your dreams in the astral plane. What if I had this new relationship? What would that be like? So you work all these things out on the astral plane so that when you get into your waking world in the physical plane, it's like you already worked it out. Okay. It's like kind of think of it as like a dress rehearsal. Now, on a more extreme example, let's say, and I hate to say this, right? But just to illustrate the point, let's say you really hurt someone in the astral plane. Like you're so mad at someone, it's like, oh, I wonder if I punch them in the face, right? You wake up from that dream and you wake up and you're not in jail. Okay. You're not being arrested because you punched someone in the face. Does that make sense? So having these negative, if you will, like experiences up on the astral, it doesn't really necessarily translate to like that's what will happen in the physical world. Like I said, it's more like your dress rehearsal. You're working things out as a soul so that when you do wake up, right, then like you already worked that out. It's like you could decide, oh yeah, I want to do that. No, I better not do that. Okay. Let me see. Let me go back to Zoom. Sarah's asking, how can I stop myself from stopping the visions as they start? Okay, so yeah, you're going to learn all that, and especially with the visions, the third eye, especially when you get into the 8-week training. That's exactly what we're going to address. Okay, and part of it is what you learned today: relaxing, grounding. Right, when you could start there, then all the energy work that you do coming up just makes it so much easier. Okay. Catherine, I've been told by spirits came through. Girl, I'm an energy worker, medium, psychic, Claire, and I'm have connections with woods, plants, people, and pets, or try to make sense of it. Okay. Yeah, so just go with it, right? If you get a message from some psychic medium from me, right, and it really resonates with you, then go with it. That's a signal that that's your truth. It's kind of like when you're at a sunset, right? And you're looking at this beautiful sunset with the beautiful colors and the sun going down and looking at it on the horizon, and you're like, whoa, that's beautiful. And then you get like right? That's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's beautiful, right? It's true because it's just true. That's when you know, okay? So that's a good barometer, you guys, that when you are tapping into these higher spiritual truth, especially for yourself in your own particular awakening journey, if it feels true to you in that way, then it must be true. Okay. There's no need to figure it out. There's no need to overanalyze it anymore. No need to second guess. It's true because it's just true. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So Jacqueline, yeah, feel free to message me. That one's a little bit more involved, or you could even post it to the Facebook group if you wish. But yeah, feel free to message me about that one, Jacqueline. So let's see. Awesome. Catherine saying spirits told me to do your course. Yeah, that happens so much. Like your spirit guides, I've had people like their grandmother came through and like the grandmother's a spirit guide and they're like, can you help me make this decision? And they're like, you need training, right? And then next you know, my ad shows up or my book shows up and they're like, okay, universe. I guess that's basically what I need to do here. All right, you guys, on Zoom, there's like 40 new messages. I'll do my best to answer everything, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast in about 13 minutes. Okay. So if I don't get to your question today, my apologies. We are going to be on for the next few days. So I'll try to answer as many as I can over the next 5 days here. Sally, what about eating meat? I hear this affects abilities, but I follow the keto diet for health reasons. So Sally, I'm also very much on that keto bandwagon. And my psychic gifts are fine, right? I do the whole fasting and intermittent fasting thing. And let me tell you, when I do have like the heavy carbs or all of that, like it's kind of like throwing a wrench in the engine for me. And then I feel sluggish. And yes, it does affect my gifts. But when I'm eating clean, oh my gosh, right? And when regards to meat, you're just going to have to literally have a conversation with your body. Like, hey, do you like this or do you not? Does it feel like a wrench is being thrown in or not? For some of you, it's the vegan, like eating vegan feels good to you. So my advice to everyone is like, when it comes to your gifts and just being healthy in general, right? Go with what feels good to your body, because your body will know. Your body literally will tell you, right? It's like when you have a sugar high and then a sugar low, your body's literally telling you like, oh, don't do that again. That doesn't feel good to me. All right. Catherine says keto, and I feel like crap when I eat carbs too. Yep. Especially when you get used to it and then you start eating carbs, like, it's no good. Billy says, ringing in my ears for most of my life, and it drives me crazy. At first, as I got older, I just lived with it. Yeah, and I had one friend growing up. She would say, should I hear mumbling in the background? And she's like, I got used to it. All right, so with psychic protection, hopefully that will be less ringing over time. Sally asks, what do you think about essential oils and crystals for protecting energy? When it comes to crystals, I'm not an expert. Let me just say that. However, I've had many times, I went to a crystal shop. I was drawn to that crystal. I'm like, I got to get that crystal. I don't know why, but it just really calls to me. Here's one. I'm surrounded by crystals. You guys can't see it, but I'm surrounded by crystals. This is called celestinite. I was like, oh, that's pretty. I was like, I want to get it, right? And then come to find out when I did read the description, it's like connection to the angels and stuff. So I don't go by like the description and all that. I trust my own intuition, and I'm like, that draws to me. I'm just going to go with it. And so I love having it near, right? This one, I keep forgetting the name. Maybe one of you can tell me the name of this. This is like a grounding stone. So I like having this around. And then rose quartz, of course, I just love the energy of the stone, and then quartz in general. So all of these I got because I was just drawn to it, right? So I say if you're drawn to it, go with it, right? Same with essential oils and all of that. If you feel like it protects you, go with it. Okay. There's no hard and fast rule to any of this, you guys. Lopez says, so when you get ringing and you want to know, should you invite them? It's all up to you, okay? In my follow-on training, especially when it comes to spirit guide mastery, one of the things I teach is that you want to definitely have like even more, I call it psychic boundaries, right? But like I mentioned earlier, like having those rules, hey, you come in when I want you to, and when I don't want you here, you don't come in. Otherwise, you don't get any communication from me. It's kind of like having the no vacancy sign, right? That you see at a hotel. So Lopez, to answer your question, it's up to you. If you want them to, yes. If you don't, then it's up to you, okay? And I call it seniority. That's what I was taught. It's seniority when you allow things to come in when you want, okay? And if you don't want them to, then they stay away until you do invite them in or invite them to come around. This is an advanced question, but it's been on my mind. When you recalibrate your energy body, how can I bring the convergence towards and hold it in my energy? Yeah, that's I don't use those terms myself, this whole convergence thing. The way I like to describe it, I call it alignment. And yes, there's your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, your spiritual body, your light body, your astral body, right? For me, it's all about just bringing those into alignment, right? And their chakras are involved and all that. So for me, it's more a question of like alignment and balance. And when things get out of balance, that's where things get out of alignment. So having that healing work, it's definitely a day-to-day thing, right? Or week to week. And even for me, when I feel way off balance, I go get a reading, right? And I have like a whole network of other psychics that I turn to, or healers, like, hey, can I get a reading from you? I'm feeling off a little bit, right? And that helps to bring back into alignment there. All right, about 8 more minutes, you guys. Like I said, I'll try my best to answer all the questions here. Yeah, see, just on Zoom, some of you are conversing back and forth with each other, which is awesome. I'm just looking for questions here. Okay, Amber said, thank you so much for this absolutely beautiful experience today, Joe. See you tomorrow. Oh, you're so welcome. Stacy has a question here. Have you heard of someone that deals with energies being able to transfer their energy to another person who is suffering and then taking on that other person's energies? Yes, there are definitely healers out there. I don't teach it that way. I prefer to, like I mentioned earlier, keep it karma free. But yeah, there are some healers, like that's their thing. Okay. Okay, I'm just scrolling through. Sorry, you guys. A lot of these are you're conversing with each other, which is awesome. I love the community. And Sarah, I answered your question earlier, I believe. Okay, Belly says, thank you, Joe. Have a great day today. I'll take practice to releasing my old energy. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like a lot of you are just saying, hi, awesome, thank you. Okay, so if I couldn't get to your, one last question here. This is a very common one. I found my gifts came on strong in the beginning of a twin flame journey. So not just numbers, but his name appeared everywhere. What do you think of this? Is there a definite connection with these things? Yeah, Sally, you're definitely not the only one. When it comes to the twin flame thing, a lot of times people get into like, how does that work, right? You're finding answers. And just like 333s, for example, when you're wondering, finding answers, is that a spirit guide? What is the universal connection to it all, right? That's when people's intuition starts waking up. And then you go beyond intuition to tapping in with your gifts, your higher knowing, right? You might start getting visions. And so, yeah, the psychic awakening does happen very commonly when people start exploring the whole twin flame journey, right? Twin flames, all of that, right? So yeah, very common when people start searching for answers. Billy, I don't know if you're talking about me. You're glowing with golden light strongest around your forehead. Actually, my crown chakra, before I teach all these classes, I bring my crown chakra to gold. So thank you for that validation, Billy. Okay, so Rebecca says, great class. Can't wait till tomorrow. Send you all love and light. Awesome. Okay, you guys. Well, that is all with the Q&A for today. And that's all I have for today's broadcast. Look out for the email because I'll send that out with the guided meditation. And if you are on Facebook, my assistant, Kyle, already posted the link to that. So access the recording to that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. That's all I have for today. And I'll post this up to YouTube in case you are looking for the replay. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Talk to you later. All right. Bye for now.